Okay. This is very important what Joe Lieberman said. Listen.
Because of this president's foreign policy, which is so
Not that
often
bitch.
impulsive and erratic.
Democrats on Capitol Hill nearly united in their criticism of the president and his decision to order the strike that killed Qasem Soleimani, a move my next guest says deserves more bipartisan support. Former Democratic vice presidential candidate and Connecticut Senator Joe Lieberman joins me now. Senator, good to see you.
You too, Paul. Thank you.
So when you say it deserves more bipartisan support, why?
Well, to me, it just seems the killing of Soleimani seems so eminently in the national security interest of the United States. I mean, everybody by now knows the record. You can hold him responsible for the deaths of hundreds of Americans directly since over the last 15 years, and thousands of others, all those, including Democrats who deservedly are critical of us standing back in Syria and watching more than 500,000 people killed there, can put the blame mostly on Soleimani, without whom Assad never would have still been there. So this is again a reflection, I'm afraid, of how partisan, tribal our politics have come. And this, to me, is an extreme of it. If you can't agree that it's the right thing to do for the United States to kill, to take off the battlefield a general as literally in the war against us, then what can we agree on without partisan politics?
Well, it's striking to me because this is Iran in particular, which, as you know, going back to the revolution in 1979, has
Right.
been targeting Americans, and many Democrats over the years, including Chuck Schumer and others, have been,
Right.
said, look, we have to get tougher against Iran. What's behind it? Why the change now? Is it just Donald Trump?
I really think it is. It's Donald Trump and the increasing partisanship of American politics. You are absolutely right. For years, in the face of Iranian aggression against us, including all that they did training and equipping Iraqi militias, which went back into Iraq and killed over 600 American soldiers by conclusion of our State Department.
Official count.
Official count. People like Chuck Schumer, right across the bipartisan board, supported economic sanctions. We didn't want to go to war against Iran. Economic sanctions against them to squeeze Iran so that they would stop doing what they were doing. And why did this become a point of the killing of Soleimani, become a point of partisan disagreement? I think it's got to be because we're so partisan generally, and because we're at a point where whatever Donald Trump does, President Trump does, Democrats will oppose, and frankly, whatever Donald Trump does, most Republicans will support. And that's a suspension of rational thinking, particularly when it comes to our national security.
Okay, but as you look at the Democratic Party and the change of opinion over the years, I mean, I don't see many, Henry Jackson Democrats anymore. He was the anti-Soviet Union
Right.
Democrat for years, worked with President Reagan. And you yourself, you were challenged in the primary and had to run as an independent in order to keep your seat. How do you see the drift in the party on foreign policy? Is it really moving in a profoundly dovish direction?
Well, it certainly seems like it is. Certainly among the candidates who are involved in the hothouse of a Democratic primary in which the left is disproportionately represented. But I worry about it. This is a tension, a dialogue that's gone on in the party for some years.
Right.
I mean, in a sense, it hit the far left point in 1972 when George McGovern was elected. Of course, it was in the middle of the Vietnam War.
Right.
President Nixon was not that popular, but he won a landslide over McGovern. The Democrats who have won the presidency since then were either center-left and pro-security, remember Jimmy Carter, no matter what he did during his presidency, he was a Navy veteran when he came in. He was a submariner. Bill Clinton took some strong positions on security. Barack Obama himself was more of a center leftist when he ran for president. Incidentally, I was looking at history, and the Congress got very angry at President Clinton for going into Kosovo without congressional authorization.
I remember that, and Tom DeLay, the Republicans in the House, tried to stop it, but you know what happened? Mitch McConnell and the Republicans in the Senate,
Yes.
and combined with Democrats, basically said, no, we support the president.
Exactly, to their credit, and Congress was also angry at President Obama for taking American forces into Libya
Right.
without an adequate congressional authorization. In fact, even under the War Powers Act, which presidents of both parties have said they don't really feel obliged to follow, usually they try to. President Obama kept our forces in weeks after the time deadlines in that act expired. So you have to say that all this invoking of the War Powers Resolution today by Democrats in Congress against President Trump for what he just did to Soleimani is a classic pattern, partisan pattern.
Either side.
On either side, but it's worse than ever today because the partisanship is worse than ever, and there should have been nothing controversial about the killing of Soleimani.
There you go.
All right, Senator Lieberman, thank you for coming in. Great to see you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Paul.
That last
You too.
Still ahead, the House passes